Welcome to Volume 11 RockTalk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music. Your hosts, Rich Hoffa, Rick Lawhorn, and Mark Dunn. RockTalk, Volume 11 Music.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to RockTalk at Volume 11 Music in Fredericksburg, Virginia. My name's Rich.
Rick Lawhorn.
Mark Dunn.
All right. So, gosh, what episode is this?
39.
39.
Holy, made it,
wow.
39.
Holden.
And we're still talking about music at 39
Wow, isn't that incredible?
episodes. Imagine you can find all kinds of things to talk about. so this week's episode, if you like the video, please hit that subscribe button. Comment, share the video. We're still shooting for 1,500 subscribers. I don't know where we're at now, and we've got merch. You can pick that up on the Volume 11 Music website. We can ship a shirt out to you, and of course we got Volume 11 coffee. We got Volume 11 shirts, we got hats, we all got all kinds of good merchandise available. So this week's episode is going to be about bands that were favorite bands of ours that we never got to see. Either they broke up or they passed away
also in our time of being able to see
exactly.
I'm
talking about Woodstock stuff.
We're talking about, got to see Hendrix.
We're talking about different things like
because
that.
we procrastinated or
circumstances
or circumstances.
So
it was fun. And I'd like to say hello to our viewer in Tajikistan.
All right.
Is that a real country?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Did you look that up before you
Tajikistan.
Before you sat down, or
no? It's a country. Yeah.
What's the gross national product? Any idea there?
Taji. If you can stand it.
That's it. Well, who wants to start this one off?
I'll start it off.
All right.
Mark, in the house.
Well, this was the topic I brought to the guys because I was the youngest in the house. I was the youngest of 5 boys. And for the longest time, I felt like everybody could do stuff except for me.
Except for me.
Yeah. And so, it is what it is. You get that syndrome. But, my brother John, who's the next one up from me, he's 6 or 7 years older than I am. He got to see Elvis in 75.
75.
And my mom got to see Elvis at the Norfolk Arena in the 50s and then took John to see him in 75.
Wow.
And I remember being, 5, and I was pissed.
At that young of an age.
I wanted to see Elvis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was 5 too.
So that kind of gives you the mindset I have for as I grew older.
Yeah.
And then my first concert I ever got to see, I think we talked about, was the Bee Gees in 79. But growing older, you take for granted that you're going to be able to see, I'll see him next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to buy that ticket, or you didn't have the money for the ticket, or blah, blah. And the top of mind for me that I didn't go see 3 times is Prince.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is just regretful. I mean,
unfortunately, there's no chance to see Prince
no
now.
chance to see him. And that's kind of the impetus of this conversation.
Right.
It's like, oh, God, who did we not go see, and now we're never going to see him?
Yeah.
Or, whether it's a lineup or not. And I'm not talking about like the Eagles' Hell Freezes Over. I mean, I think that was inevitable.
Right.
Even though as much as Glenn Fry hated Don Felder.
Right.
I think that was obviously inevitable at some point.
Yeah.
But, when you look at a guy in the prime of his life at 54 or 53 or whatever Prince was, and I was like, that's the first, the humanity, when I heard he passed, I didn't even think about the humanity of it. I was like, I didn't get to go see him. I'm like selfish about it. I was like thinking about me, but so that was the one for me. I'm sure I could think of a couple more, but what do you guys have?
Well, I'll piggyback sort of on that, similar type of thing. So for me as a kid, and still to this day, I love all the vintage Queen albums, everything from the 70s. I just thought they were a great band. The vocals, the guitars, the operatic things they did. And in 1982, that was the first year I could potentially go to a concert. and they put it out an album called Hot Space. Now that was not my favorite album. That was their album that was kind of like disco-y, and it didn't really even sound like a Queen album, you know. And I remember
Flash Gordon era, wasn't it?
right after Flash Gordon, Body
Those
Language
are probably leftovers.
was the hit off of it. And I was like, I grew up. It didn't sound like the Queen. I remember like Keep Yourself Alive or Bohemian Rhapsody
or
Queen 2 or We Will Rock You. You know, that was the stuff I really absolutely still to this day I love it. And I was like, yeah, I'll just pass on it. You know, maybe somewhere down the line I'll see them. They played the Cap Center here in DC area. That was the Hot Space tour, and that was basically about the end of them touring in the United States. Most of their tours after that were more in Europe. They never really, so I never got a chance to see Queen or, you know, Freddie Mercury, one of the great frontmen ever in rock music. And it's the same way you just said with Prince. Like, you know, you look at these greats and people talk about how great Prince was, and he certainly was, or Freddie Mercury's amazing vocals, and we didn't get to see them performing. I've seen a lot of videos, but to see them actually in concert, and we could have potentially, but didn't. You know.
I'd argue Freddie Mercury, subjective, yes, but I'd argue he's probably the best rock vocalist ever.
Amazing all the things he could do with his voice, as far as the ranges and the textures, and you know, he
That's why he never got his teeth fixed.
I read that. I remember hearing that. And, you know, and it's I mean, what an amazing talent. You know,
Nobody. I mean, to be that profound with his core talent, and then obviously he had such orchestral and grandiose musical flavorings. That's just such a unique person. You know, one in 100-year kind of a singer.
You don't. I always tell people, you know, when you think of all the different types of singers out there, there's not many that really sound like him. You know, you have this. I mean, that's kind of a one of a type voice. And if they do,
they're getting paid.
Yeah, right. Very true. Yeah. So that would be one I would throw in there. So we have Prince, we have Queen. Rich, you got any ones you want to throw?
Yeah, I mean,
nothing. So you're not going to come up with any royalty, are you?
Right.
I got Prince. He's got Queen.
No, well, they are rock royalty.
Well, Elvis the King.
Yeah, so you know, when I was younger, of course, I grew up to 50s music and things like that, but you know, stuff that my parents listened to, because my dad, you know, being a musician and all that kind of stuff. But you know, when I really started finding things on my own, you know, it was AC/DC, you know, and really AC/DC and Van Halen at the same time. Those two bands I was just like over the top about, but AC/DC was really it for me. And you know, I never got to see him. I still to this day haven't got to see him. And I think, you know, you're never going to see the classic lineup again.
Right, with Bon Scott.
Scott and all that stuff. And I think they just went through the area. So I'm not, you know.
Brian Johnson.
I think they played D.C.
They did. They were DC a few weeks ago.
I'm never going to, you know, this is probably it. I'm never going to get a chance to see him.
But I mean, even though it would be entertaining, and it still ain't the same without Malcolm.
No.
You know, and it's and I think Angus is on all cylinders.
He is. I've seen some clips. He's still running around and doing the Angus thing.
But I mean, I'm not going to disparage Brian Johnson, but I mean, he is starting to sound a little bit like Cartman when he sings.
Yeah, he's up. Well, gosh,
78
years old,
now,
screaming the way he does,
singing like he's gargling rocks.
You know, and
it's a tough vocal range to maintain.
100%,
really.
Yeah,
you know,
and
then all props to him.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, AC/DC, I mean, I just never, I mean, and it's a travesty, because it was such a, I mean, I grew up, you know, listening to this band. And, you know, for whatever reason, it just never the stars never aligned to
they're the
go
soundtrack
get
of every Saturday night in the 80s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Pretty much. You know, you think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things where, I mean, you could have.
Yeah,
but for some reason you just never.
It just never worked out, you know, to where I could ever see them, and you know, it sucks, because it's, you know, they're there, and it's one of those things too. It's like we talked about earlier. You always say, "Well, I'll get them next year."
And I've done that in the past. Next time around, I'll catch them.
You know, then you start going, "Yeah, they're getting older."
There is no next time.
Just like we're getting older, and you know, there is no next time. But yeah, that was a big one for me, not being able to see AC/DC.
And this is kind of tethered to last episode, or the one before that, where we were talking about tribute bands.
Yeah,
and the kind of the impact that they're having on a regional or sometimes national
big time
touring thing. And it's because, I mean, there's actually some bands out there that are touring
Yeah.
Well, the band is still touring, but you're not going to see Van Halen. You're not going to see AC/DC after this.
Yeah.
You know, so when you see that kind of thing, it's I think that lends itself to, you know, our sentiment with regards to this.
Right.
Now, I don't know if there's a Prince tribute out there.
There probably is, I'm sure.
If somebody's out there as a Prince tribute, I would be interested in seeing that. Even though I do, you know, I don't hate tribute bands, but in order for that person to be a Prince tribute, they've got to be ridiculous. That's got to be entertaining.
Well, just thinking about that. You know, what's the crazy rock and roll band that was? They do silly songs. They were on America's Got Talent.
Steel Panther.
Steel Panther. Okay, so evidently they were
Atomic Punks.
Van Halen. Well, I never seen any of them doing it. So the other day I'm surfing through there, and I hear they're doing Dead or Alive, Van Halen,
and they're nailing it.
And I was like, if you close your eyes, he sounds like Roth in his heyday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, you know, that I would go see.
And his name's Ralph Sands, and then people called him David Lee Ralph.
You know,
David Lee Ralph.
I mean, they just totally nailed it. It sounded exactly like him. I mean, I mean, you know, not exact, but as close as you can get.
I mean, Dead or Alive off of Van Halen 2.
Yeah,
the DOA.
And, so I was, you know,
and he does. You're right,
I was
Rich.
like,
he
wow.
nails it.
I mean, he nails it. I mean,
all those crazy screams.
He's got it to a T.
And they were so good that Bart Walsh was the original guitar player for Atomic Punks, who David Lee Roth tapped to come out play solo with him.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And then Russ Parrish replaced him in the Atomic.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's. I think it's. You know, we talked about it in that the episode, but yeah, I think just keeping the music alive is. You know, when you think about it, it's kind of cool that people are out there doing that.
Now let's tether this to the same discussion. Most surprising concert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's probably, for me, did you ever get dragged to a concert that you didn't want to go to? Or that you didn't think you cared about?
I've pretty much been hip for everything I've ever gone to. So I know the stories of other people that, you know, so I know where you're coming from here.
Yeah. Well, I had back in '88, you know, I'm a teenager. My friend Bruce down the street had an extra ticket to go see REM at the William & Mary Hall. And one interesting thing about this is it was the last general admission show that REM ever did.
General admissions.
Yeah, the last one they ever did.
Yeah.
But I could have cared less about REM. I wasn't a hater, and they were obviously all over the radio if you were listening to that kind of stuff. But I went in there just to go hang out and have a good time, and you know, and I wound up being 1,000% blown away, and it was like probably one of the coolest shows I've ever seen. And I think some of that's probably amplified by the fact that I wasn't expecting much.
Right.
Yeah. Because REM is not that. But my goodness, I mean, it was also one of the first shows I ever saw that had a big giant screen behind the band. And they didn't use it the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was used, you know, they peppered usage of it. But back then, they probably just didn't have the technology.
Technology like what we got nowadays.
And it wasn't even for them. It was imagery. On a big giant screen. So I would mark that down as something that you know about Mark Dunn now. I went to an REM concert, and it's in my top 5, if not top 3 of best shows.
Now, have you become a big REM fan since then, or are you still like, they're not really my thing, but I can appreciate what they did. That was a cool show.
So I went and dove in, and I got into some of the stuff. I liked how and I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit, but the producers were smart enough to exploit their simplicity. Now that sounds like a backhanded compliment.
I got what you're saying.
But they're just straight to the message, rock and roll with different textures, mandolins, acoustic guitars, 12-string electric guitars. I didn't. If I probably like the songs that were never on the radio more than
I'm kind of like that type of person too. A lot of times,
but that's a good question because it didn't make me a super fan. Because all I want to say is that live show in that moment on that tour was unstoppable, and that's to me that's what a live concert experience is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly isn't about holding up your phone.
Right.
phone nowadays.
And that's so that to me was like that's where that opened my mind a little bit about going to see other bands, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I went and saw other bands that I would have never thought of going to see after that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
What about you?
So back in 2012, you might remember Van Halen had the album, not Van Halen, that's not my choice here, but watch where I go with this. A Different Kind of Truth, that was with David Lee Roth. And they toured and they played here in the Verizon Center in D.C. So my wife, Rose, and me, so we're going to go see this. So we got really good tickets, went up to see the mighty Van Halen, legendary Eddie Van Halen, one of my all-time favorites. Yeah. So here's where I'm going with this. So guess who the opening band was? Who do you think would open for the mighty Van Halen?
I know who it is.
You probably know, Mark. I was surprised. No, that's where I'm going with this. I think you know where I'm going with this. So the opening band was Kool and the Gang.
Wow.
Let me repeat that again. The opening band for Van Halen was Kool and the Gang. Now, nothing against Kool and the Gang. I think they do great music. I've played in top 40 bands that do some of their songs. But when you say Rick Lawhorn, who do you think should be opening for Van Halen? That would be one of the last bands I probably would have thought of as an opener. So apparently David Lee Roth was pretty good friends with some of the members in Kool and the Gang. So they had a friendship, and it was like, hey, let's make this happen. So I didn't know what to expect. And honestly, I loved it. It was great. I mean, they put on a great show. I mean, Van Halen's Van Halen. We know that. We know Eddie's a legend. There's no question. But they got up there and played a lot of their hits. But they also did a lot of deep tracks.
They did.
And they do. And you know where I'm coming from, Mark. I mean, all the deep cuts. A lot of cool funk, rock, guitar playing off that stuff. You know,
Tony was the lineup with them.
Yeah.
Guys from Tony. And it's just, I think that the choice was such that there was no ear fatigue.
Right.
Because they played that stuff and nailed it.
Exactly.
And when Van Halen came out, it wasn't like you were already tired.
No, I mean, let's say hypothetically, let's say it was Rat and Van Halen, you know, and I love Rat, I love Van Halen, but it's like, well, you know, they're kind of that LA hard rock thing, and it's great, I love that stuff, but having Kool and the Gang, then
Genius.
Van Halen, totally different, you know, two sides of the coin, as you know, as the old saying goes there. So, and it was great. It was fun. They did a lot of the songs that everybody knew, but they did some deep album cuts. There were some great arrangements, great horns, great vocals, really cool funk rock guitar playing, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I am a fan. I think
Cool
they're
just
great.
died
I know.
last week.
Sadly, we've lost a few of the members of Kool and the Gang now.
Did David Lee Roth admonish the crowd for not being in because like when they came, I saw him in Atlanta.
Oh, you saw him in Atlanta? Okay,
And because I was happy to see him, but it was, you know, people were filing in.
Right.
And I'm like, I cannot believe people will not capitalize on Celebrate Good Times and Get Down on It.
Get Down on It. Yeah, all those fun songs.
And when Roth came out, he admonished the crowd.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
He said, none of you even... For those of you that didn't even make it to see Kool and the Gang, you need to know that Van Halen played half of everything they played tonight when we were in the bars.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of told them what was up. And,
in fact, I'm going to go on the opposite side here. So when we saw them in 2012 at the Verizon Center, they had a good crowd there. It wasn't like half empty, which I've been at those types of shows. But it was already a good crowd. Everybody was loving it. Everybody gave them a lot of love, a lot of respect,
Absolutely.
a lot of, you know, we were all going, you know, there wasn't any like, oh man, what are these guys doing? I just thought it was an odd pairing at first, like, wait, Kool and the Gang and Van Halen. But when I saw it, I thought, this is great. This is really
Dave,
cool.
You know that was Dave.
Diamond Dave,
And people were griping too. They were like, Kool and the Gang. I'm like, are you out of your mind? They're going to kill it.
They did. They're awesome.
Who's your surprising?
My big surprise, well, you know, it's like a you know, hadn't been to a concert in a really long time. And of course I play hockey, and we have great banter in the locker room, and we're somehow, you know, the guys know that I play music and stuff like that, so every once in a while we'll get into a music conversation in the locker room. So our goalie, Neil, he's, you know, we don't listen to him too much because he's just an angry person. You know, he just
angry,
as he should be as a goalie.
He's just angry.
That's what you want. You want that anger, that hunger,
bad attitude, you know, the whole thing. But he would always comment on Alice Cooper.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, you know, and I don't own any Alice Cooper records. I mean, I
never really listened to a ton of this stuff.
I liked it, you know. It's like, okay, yeah, it's pretty good, you know, but I never never went out and bought it or any of that stuff. I mean,
Right.
I thought it was good and all that, but I didn't, put too much thought into it. So I went and got tickets to one of Motley Crue's farewell tours.
Farewell, yep.
I think it was like the 5th time before they were gonna. I think the farewell.
The farewell of the farewell of the farewell tour.
It's the appetizer.
And
of
so
the farewell.
they came out, and I would and when I go to a rock and roll show, I mean, not only do I want to see good players, I want to hear good music, and I want to see stuff happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an experience.
With Alice Cooper,
I
that's
don't want to see 5 dudes standing like statues and playing whatever. I mean, I want to see stuff happening, and not only were they just absolutely musicianship, just fantastic. I mean, monster players, but the whole theatrics and stuff.
Yeah, the theatricals.
And Alice Cooper might not be the greatest singer in the world, but you talk about a showman. Mm-hmm. Man, unbelievable.
Kudos to Motley Crue for letting him do his thing.
Oh
too.
yeah, and it was kind of like a double bill type of thing. And I would 100% go see Alice Cooper again.
He's still doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I mean, he's still great. I mean, it just that was one show that I was. I mean, I just couldn't take my eyes off the entire show. It was just absolutely fantastic.
Can't take my eyes off of you.
Yeah, it was great. It was just a fantastic show.
Well, the moral to the whole episode then for me is buy the ticket and go see the show. Mm-hmm. And also, there's that generational gap often with your children. And whatever your kids or even your elders are listening to, if those people are still around, take them to a show and see what they're watching, because I guarantee you'll be surprised.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That's it. Well, cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Rock Talk. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that share button and make a comment. However you want to do it, whatever kind of comment you want to make. That's great. We like all comments, good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, we get them all.
Yeah, we get a few here and there. But so where are you guys playing at this weekend?
This will be the 7th of June. Yeah. So I'm at Log Home Brewery, Lake Anna, Virginia, with Cactus Jack, 6 o'clock on Saturday. Should be a fun time.
And as soon as this is done, I'm going to teleport to Virginia Beach. Mm-hmm. Today, and I'm down at Old Beach Tavern with a wonderful young singer named Marie Cornell.
Cool.
We've never played together or anything. I just think she's fantastic, and I said, hey, let's get together and flip a coin and see who goes first. We're just gonna trade off and play together all night long.
Awesome.
And then Friday I am at I don't know. Saturday I'm at Star Hill Brewery, and Friday I'm playing at Wilderness Run over off 3.
Oh, Wilderness. Okay.
Not the vineyard, the actual campground.
The campground.
Yeah, it's open to the public.
Okay.
7 o'clock, and then Saturday Star Hill Brewery 2 o'clock in Tyson's Corner.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Well, I won't be playing these shows, but I will tell you, I am secretly rehearsing and getting my chops back and all
it's
that
no longer
stuff.
a secret.
So us 3 can go out and do a gig.
Yeah.
So
he's going to be lamenting not having seen AC/DC.
Yeah, that's right.
Are we calling the band Volume 11?
I don't know what we're going to call it.
Absolutely. Why not?
Call it Volume 11.
V11, Volume 11.
The biggest thing is just getting my stamina back. I've got to be able to play for however long, and I'm not used to doing that. So
says the guy who gets to sit down when he plays.
But sitting down, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and unfortunately, I still have the mindset of an 80s player, so I've got to learn how to calm that down a little bit.
Especially when you get in your 80s.
You're not there yet. Not there yet, but the whole stick flailing and doing all this kind of crap, I don't know that I'll be able to do that for a couple hours straight, so I got to learn how to tailor it back a little bit and all that. So that's this week's episode of Rock Talk. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
This has been an episode of Volume 11 Rock Talk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music.